And welcome, guys, to Fantasy Football G. I'm your man, Cat. We are going to preview Game Week 9. Question is still, do we triple captain Haaland? I'm going to answer a couple of your questions as to whether or not you should be keeping, selling some of your players, or you should be going for them as well. And then we are going to do a quick recap of my Game Week 8 and look at my team selection. So, without further ado, let's get into it. All right, guys. Let's get straight into it. KDB Foden, the question. Should you be playing Foden this game week? Should you be going for Foden? That's a big question. I think if you still got Foden, I think, guys, don't worry about it. Like I said before, he's shown absolute great great performance in the sense of he could still come on and make a difference. And I think if just Pep could just start him, and I highly believe that will be the case in this game week. That's my belief, but we have to keep an ear out for what Pep says. KDB was not good enough to play the Champions League game, and I think that's where my belief is more so coming from, that he is in training, but Pep just doesn't believe he's fully up to scratch. And if that's the case, because they're playing Southampton, we all know how Man City does, especially with KDB. They want to make sure that he's fully fit, specifically and especially for the business end of the season. And so if that means they need to wrap him up into cotton wool for the first half of the season, then I think that's exactly what's going to happen, quite frankly. So that being said, I don't know why that disappeared, but anyway, that being said, I think that us Foden owners are safe. I don't think if you are looking to go for Foden, I know it's tough because you're probably looking for a Man City asset. Look, if you want to take a punt and you've got the transfers to do it, fine. Take a punt, go for the transfer for it. I think if there was a Man City player that I would go for, considering they're playing a Southampton team, it would definitely be the assets I had, which is a Bernardo Silva and a Phil Foden. So that's my recommendation when it comes to those two guys. All right. Now, the other conundrum that we have is Arsenal assets, Bukayo Saka and William Saliba. Look, guys, I think when it comes to the main question is like, is this a good time to get rid of the Arsenal assets? 100% definitely. I do believe, though, that Mikel Arteta has really been protecting Bukayo Saka, considering that he hasn't played in the Champions League and in the previous game. I think he was really safe keeping him for this Liverpool game. So do I think he will play? I really do think he will play this time, because I think Mikel and the rest of everybody at the Arsenal community has seen how much we've struggled without a creative player just like him. So in my opinion, I think Bukayo Saka is going to play, That being said, it is still Liverpool, so I wouldn't necessarily, doesn't mean you shouldn't get rid of him. I think you can definitely still get a better asset, in the midfield. You could look at even one of the Tottenham assets, So I think you can definitely get rid of him, as well as, the defense as well. And that's why I have Saliba there, I think right now is the best time if you're going to do it, because they got 3 fixtures in a row, and you can definitely get them back after those fixtures, those tougher fixtures, considering that they don't have their complete starting lineup, So yeah, that's my opinion when it comes to the Arsenal players. As a replacement for the defensive guys, Nouri, I did mention this before. I think the reason why I'm just bringing him back up here is because he is sort of flagged to his price to rise tonight. So I think keep an eye out on that. If you want to catch him at 4.4, then definitely keep an eye on for him. The Brighton game isn't necessarily the best, but apparently in the Wolves community, they're going to be playing a 3-5-2. That means that Nouri is going to be absolutely high up. And we saw in the previous game with Man City, he was all over the pitch, literally playing on the left, but he was actually on the right-hand side as well. So I think that despite it not being a great match for a clean sheet, I think that he's still a good asset going into that, especially for those who are like us, who have Liverpool defense and Arsenal defense, and they're looking to actually ship one of them out as well. In terms of that, I think for me, he definitely is a consideration, along with two other assets from Brighton, and that is E.Pinnock and Nathan Collins. I had to go into the Fantasy Football Hub tools and actually use the comparison tool. So if you guys also want to do that, then link is in the description below. Please grab it. They are doing a 7-day free trial as well as 30% off using that link in the description. So it's a great way for you to actually sort of decide. And I think for me, what really made my decision was looking more at the BPS of Collins versus Pinnock. I think Pinnock definitely for me has more of an attacking threat. But you know, the AI here thinks that Collins actually overshadows Pinnock here, and you can see that with Pinnock being the red, and Pinnock being the blue and Collins being the red, he sort of beats him really in all areas when you look at that spider diagram there. Points, clean sheet potential, of course it's the same. But you look at the bonus points and bonus points baseline as well, even attacking threat as well. So points are really similar over the game weeks. I think it's also not a bad transfer to make, considering I was trying to keep transfers, but I think if I can hold these guys until game week 13 and keep my transfers as well, build them up so I can get Palmer in later on as well, and some other maybe Brighton and other Wolves assets as well, like Cunha, then yeah, man, I think I'll be okay. This is what I'm considering. It's definitely an 8 Nouri and most likely a Collins. I might even want to take a hit, and this isn't me chasing points. And I was saying to Joseph, I was like, yo, man, I need to keep calm, actually. I need to keep calm and not try to chase points and not make stupid moves. I don't want to take hits at all, but it's the only thing that's making me consider it is because the game of Brighton versus Ipswich is looking very, very tempting. I think either Wisa is the person that I was going to take a hit on. I think Wisa and Mbeumo might really return very well there. I'm not really a fan of Brighton's defense. They really got one of the worst defenses, actually. But I just think, you know, a Collins and 8 Nouri is definitely better than playing a Gabriel and a Liverpool defender, which is what I have in my case. So, yeah, I think, guys, those are definitely, you know, people you can actually consider for the long term. And I say long term in terms of going all the way to game week 13, so you don't have to make transfers too many times. Yeah, that's my opinion. Along with my opinion, I think you guys should really smash that like button if you're loving the content. Really would appreciate it. Helps the algorithms. And if you are also new to the channel, then please hit that subscribe button. I bring you guys content every week as well. So yeah, if you're enjoying this, then you know what to do as well. That being said, let's go on to Cap. I think you need a lot more. The team they played in the Champions League versus Premier League is going to be so totally different. You understand? I think Southampton is definitely going to be held take back. They're going to be, and that's not necessarily Haaland's best game. Haaland's best game is a team that's not necessarily pressing high, but marking them high up the pitch, so it gives them a lot of space to run and then run onto the ball and make those shots as well. It's not really when he's stationary and receiving the ball with the goal to his back. That's not when Haaland is necessarily prolific. So I feel like that's what's going to be the situation here. That doesn't mean don't captain him. I think captain him for security, because if he does explode, then you know you got yourself covered. But in terms of triple captaining, I don't think so. Another great captain option C for me, if you're not going to go for a Haaland, is definitely an Mbeumo. I would rather go for Mbeumo myself. Son wasn't seen or is not going to be playing for the European games. I think that's precautionary. But I think he's another option if you don't have an Mbeumo and not going for a Haaland as well. He did return recently, and I think Crystal Palace is definitely a game in which he can still perform again. But you have to keep an ear out and hear whether or not really that is going to be the case of him playing or not. So yeah, that's my opinion when it comes to Haaland captain options besides him and triple captaining Haaland. So let us take a look at my game week. I did horrifically. I got 27 points, got a red card with that Saliba at -3. Don't panic, guys. don't panic. That is the key here. That is the key. Look at your team, evaluate it. And my playing style essentially is always preparing ahead. And I'm sure if you go back to, I think it's Game Week 6 or Game Week 7, you saw that I'd already planned for this interval, going all the way up to Game Week 12, where I then make my next. So right now I'm actually planning for Game Week 12. And with the plan, remember, you always need to be flexible. So you always need to be able to make changes if need be, if the plan is actually not working. So that's where I'm at right now, where I have my 2 transfers and I feel like the team is not necessarily performing, specifically my strikers, I'd say a Vardy and a Calvert-Lewin. Yes, Vardy did have a return. It was a penalty, but he's going to be playing Nottingham Forest next. Calvert-Lewin just hasn't been doing so great. My defense as well. Let's just move on to my team selection so you can really see what I'm talking about. But before we do that, I think we need to give a shout out to the new #1 of Dallas Dominators. Kevin, my man, well done, dog, for making your way up to the top. You have been consistent, and you know what? You have shown that you are a threat. Right behind you, there's Pedro Porridge, who just does not want to finish his porridge. He's still cooking it, man. He is still cooking it. Cool. We see you, dog. We see you, dog. And soft, rippling stream going up the banks of the Fantasy Football G League. Well done, my man, Joseph. Well done, dog. I'm trying to think if this is your first time in the top 3. I think you've been number 2 before. If not, I think you've been number 2 before. But that was a freaking great week. You must have scored the highest, in fact. So big props to you, man. Killer squad. Consecutive red arrows, which is really concerning, Cat. Come on, dog. Come on. You got to do something. Marcel Oscar, I am falling slowly with you, my man. Down the bank. But we will be back. You have been taking a lot of hits, though. Don't take too many hits. And that brings me on to our number 6, back of the netto, Scott Edwards. Playing it risky, my man. Playing it risky. He did play a bench boost, and I saw... Is it bench boost or a triple captain? I can't remember, but it's 1 or 2. He played a chip, though, I think it's a bench boost, along with his negative 20 points. I see what you were trying to do. And this is my point. Like, sometimes things work out, sometimes things don't work out. I don't think, though, that was a good move. I think you should have just kept your squad while you were still on top. I don't think you needed to make all those changes as well and take a minus 20. But yeah, that's just my advice. Don't worry. You're still in the top 10, dog. But try play it safe a lot more this time. And then Morgan Sniffs White dropping down 2 there. Sorry, Henry, man, but you have clocked the 500 mark now, which is very good. Stingers FC coming up 5 spots out of nowhere. I'm pretty sure that you've stung the top 10 a couple of times. I can't remember your name, but Stingers FC, well done. Welcome to the top 10. My man tying there with Morgan Snipe at number 7, and we got a tie at number 9. I've got Main New Shoes Son at number 9 there. And is that Tiamo all the way there at number 10? Dog, you know what, guys? I'm not even going to be hard on any of y'all because it wasn't the best game for a lot of us. In all honesty, it really wasn't. I think, and this is what I keep saying, just don't panic, guys. Just don't panic. Look at your squad. I'm sure you've been planning on somewhat. You guys are engaged managers. That's how you are, and that's really good because now you know what's been working, what's not working. If there is changes you need to make, I say make them if you really feel your squad needs them. But don't go taking 20 hits now, Scott, right? You did bad because you took 20 hits. So I think I'm not having looked at your squad, but just, keep it safe. Keep it safe. Cool. Let's move on to my team selection for this game week. So I got Ryan goals, Pedro Porro, Virgil van Dijk, and Gabriel at the back end. I am considering of making that switch or having Nathan Collins and 8 Nouri there for actually a Saliba and Virgil van Dijk. Because I feel like there's money there which I could pump into the midfield, and I'll still have Arsenal and a Liverpool. I still have double Arsenal and Liverpool for when their fixtures do turn. So I'm very happy to actually, I'll have a better defense there with Pedro Porro, Nathan Collins against Ipswich, and a Nouri there, like a flying number 10 basically from left back. So yeah, in the midfield I got Rodgers against Bournemouth at home. Everybody's playing at home. Bernardo, Silva, Foden, and Mbeumo. On the bench I've got a Semenyo, which I'm very happy with. And in fact, if Vardy didn't score in this previous game week, I feel like sometimes when somebody scores, you can't replace them. Also, some of this like unwritten rule where it's like, don't bench a penalty taker. Like, just don't. So I'm keeping Vardy on, but if it wasn't for his previous goal, I would have actually put in Semenyo and had a 5-man midfield. I don't know why I'm not considering it with Calvert-Lewin. I think actually it's because that he's at home, and I just feel like maybe he'll have a lot more favor. His XG was very high in the past 2 games, and it's just so unlucky that he hasn't returned, bro. I feel like he's got like a Bruno season, bro, if you ask me. But even Bruno, I feel like he's doing better. Yeah, and vice captain on Mbeumo with the captain on Haaland. My changes might be made on the deadline. I will be considering that hit. I don't want to take hits. I was one of the people this beginning of the season saying there is no reason for you to take hits. But I just believe if you're going to take a hit, it has to be a calculated, educated decision of a hit where you really absolutely believe that that return, or that player is going to bring in at least 8 points, because it's going to be 4 points to cover that and then another 4 points to at least make it up. And that's at least. So do I think Mbeumo can bring in 8 points? I do think he can. Will he? Only time will tell. Only time will tell. Only time will tell. That being said, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I want to say good luck for you guys at Game Week 8. But remember not Game Week 8, Game Week 9. The deadline is going to be on Friday night. So please,